Okay, so we took it out on its own down the street.
All right, so you want to use a Q-tip every once in a while because that's what it looks like. It's a buildup of wax. If you were Asian, that would be green. Okay? It's actually yellow. I'll show it to you. I'll do a screenshot of it later. All right, now go ahead. Zoom, do you know how to zoom? You zoom like that. That's 0.5, 13 millimeter, and that goes in.
Okay.
To basically, that's 26 millimeter with the extension zoom.
Well, let's look at your ear.
That's why I'm holding it. You have to know how to zoom.
No, I already did it.
All right. This is what you need right here. Okay. Read the instructions. This is what you need to do first. All right, 64 degrees Fahrenheit. We're dealing with 210,158 miles on the odometer. It's March 21st, 2024. So I've been watching a series of Mike Tyson knockouts. Now, Mike Tyson, some say one of the greatest boxers of all time. 58 fights. 50 of them were wins and knockouts. Technical or just knockouts, if I'm not mistaken. And then 2 of them were ties and 6 losses. So that makes a total of 58. But there's one fight that I was watching today where it looks like, I don't think it was Biggs, and I don't think it was, I know it wasn't Bruno. I'll have to go back and try to find this name. I saw a whole series of clips and fights of the knockouts. One of them, the guy does like a series of combos, like really explodes right on him and lands like a couple of uppercuts and really kind of tearing into Tyson pretty hard. And then he just waited right at the right moment and bam, nailed him real quick left hook. His left hook was very powerful. He also had a combo, which I think was a body blow. Side body blow hook, like basically like hitting him in the ribs kind of thing, and then an uppercut. I think that was done with the right. It was a signature piece that he had to he knocked a few out doing that. It's like body blow and then uppercut. It was like a hook and an uppercut. I think on the right hook and then uppercut. Then the left hook would come out of nowhere all the time. Many of the knockouts were with left hook because they don't expect it as much. And he had a powerful left hook. Anyway, all 50, I think I watched all 50 knockouts. Now I have to go back and look at the statistics on that. I could be wrong. I could be wrong about that. I probably am, but I know it was 50 wins. Is probably what I mean. I'll look at the statistics. It was 50 wins. I think they were all knockouts. I'll have to double check, but there were 6 losses. Haven't seen those yet. And then there was 2 ties. So I'll have to go back, and they have a whole segment on just the losses. And I think one of them, he bit a guy's ear. I think it was Holyfield's ear. But anyway, there was a lot of times where the referee would stop the fight because they just weren't really there enough, to fight. So they would, it was like a technical knockout. So, but a lot of times there were knockdowns, several knockdowns. A lot of times they'd knock him down 3 times. They'd release him, he'd just walk over and knock him down again. And they would, they would release it and split him apart, and he'd just knock him down again. He was literally kind of like a machine. It was like an iron machine that would just knock people down and just keep on going. He'd also go with like full force and explode several different combos, uppercuts, hooks, jabs, hooks, and just all this craziness, like just exploding on them until finally they would just buckle over. A lot of white fighters. Some of them look out of shape. This is a heavyweight class, so I don't know if this is correct. Anyway, yeah, it was some serious knockdowns, and then some knockouts. One of them looked like the guy fell asleep and everything. They had like wake him up. He'd get up on the number 9. A lot of them would get up on number 9, or they'd get up at 9 and then stand at 10, and then they would go, okay, you sure? And they're like, yeah. And then it was just like 10 more seconds, and then boom, they'd be knocked out. And then the ref would just step in and guard it, and keep them from getting killed. But man, it was just amazing. One thing I noticed also about Tyson too is after there would be a knockdown, especially a knockdown, he would walk right over there. Like literally, I don't know what he was saying to him, but he would walk over right behind the ref. He'd be like right there, either telling the guy, I don't know what he was saying to him. You don't know, if it's psychological. He was a psychological fighter as well as a physical fighter. He used both psychology and he used, emotion. Because he came into the ring as this monster, that was ready, but not wild and out of control. It was very contained, very still. He usually was very still at the call, when they bring the two up to say, okay, let's fight, good fight, whatever. And they're both kind of near each other. He would always be very still, while the other guys would be looking around or having crazy eyes. That's what I noticed. I mean, he did have strength and showed confidence. That's what it was. It was confidence in his eyes. But the other fighters would have like these like wild eyes and stuff. Anyway, he knocked Frazier down. He knocked Holmes. He knocked him out pretty quick. He was just knocking him out. And I think he was one of the youngest. He was the youngest fighter to obtain a title. He was like fighting at like 20 years old or 22 years old or something. 1985 to 1987 was the big time, and he was the youngest to receive a title, and then to get to be the world champion. He was the youngest fighter of all time to do that, and held it for quite a bit of time. And then later on it kind of went south. All right, sorry about that. It was 60 fights. So Mike Tyson went through 60 fights, 44 knockouts. And then there were 6 losses, and then 2 ties. And then the other ones, I guess, technical, or, they win by decision or whatever. So it was 44 knockouts out of the 60. There were a total of 60 fights. Sorry, I had the stats wrong. All right, first one, 628, 10, 4.1. So I've decided to buy like a series of Sun Kill Moon songs. This one is I Love My Dad. Yeah, Mark Zolek is a serious artist. And I like Daniel Johnston too. And Wesley Willis actually has a pretty intense song about a vampire bird, but it's also about a vampire bat. And there's been a lot of song analysis on that particular song, because he quotes Alighiero and the Lake of Fire, things like that, and how the analysis of the canons that Alighiero talked about, and where the vampire bat, of course, lived within that canon, of work and everything. Wasn't exactly an intellectual at all. Not like Mark Zolek, of course, who is smarter than Albert Einstein, or the level of Oppenheimer. If Oppenheimer had a guitar and a bag of Mexican, herb. But Willis is pretty amazing vocally. You understand everything he says. The chord changes are there. I thought, well, if Linda and I ever open a concert, how Morrissey, Stephen Patrick Morrissey from the Smiths, he'd always have that music. It was like some type of opera music playing for a while before he would appear to set the mood. He would have certain music that wasn't not necessarily his music, but I think it'd be cool to play Vampire Bat before an opening. Not probably Daniel Johnston, because I think Daniel Johnston, even though Daniel Johnston was outsider music, and Mark Kazalik's not. I mean, he worked with Cameron Crowe, get real. But Daniel Johnston, he was outsider music, but he's become extremely popular because of Apple. Because of Apple. Reason why is they used his music in an advertisement for an Apple commercial. A Story of an Artist was used. But no, on a serious level, I really do like Willis. I think he's good. Wesley Willis with Vampire Bat. I'm actually listening to Vampire Bat right now for maybe the 100th time in a row. No, I'm joking. No, but it is interesting. I really do listen to his stuff. He was pretty nutty. He was a pretty big nut. But he got a hold of that chord organ and synthesizer and went to town on the Vampire Bat. This is the loose dog section right over here to the left, right by the vehicle. Two of them. It's weird with some of these dogs. Sometimes they'll just get right in front of your car. Like he's got a little bit of pit bull in him or something. It's like, hello, doggy. You know about what happened to me and a Rottweiler right here. The fang went in right there. That's about. That's what I get for talking about Mark Kazalik. That's what I get. There's a shoe right here. Man, I don't know. I'm gonna turn Vampire Bat back on. So I quote Wesley Willis, Vampire Bat. Actually, no, I'm not gonna quote it. It's pretty intense for YouTube. But I found it on YouTube though. That's the crazy thing about it. But it's about a vampire bird that's also a vampire bat. Turn on the camera and get real quiet. So I'm still listening to Wesley Willis, and I switched over to Get on the Bus. It starts with Let's Ride the City Bus. And the power and commitment and conviction that's in his voice is full 100% though, regardless of, how much people make fun of him and everything. He was very serious, I think, what he was doing. About as serious as Daniel Johnston. Daniel Johnston, of course, Space Ducks and all that stuff. Still is a very enjoyable song, and a lot of his albums are very enjoyable. Now Wesley Willis is a little more adult. Like he's more probably get a little symbol on the little symbol before you buy the little warning comes on the album. So Wesley Willis was actually active as a musician from early 70s, like 73 all the way to 2003, an artist as well. And one album I'm listening to right now, I can't pronounce it, but it's all like one long word. It's actually pretty good, to be honest. I'm not lying. Some of the guitar on it's great. I think, man, his band and what he was doing is a little better than a lot of other bands nowadays, for sure, 100%. That's why I'm listening to him. I'm surprised how many albums he has. I'm gonna do a little more research on him. I know a little bit about him because remember Vampire Bat came out, everyone kind of made fun of it or whatever. But when I heard it, I was like, this guy's serious. And he was very, now he was classified as schizophrenic and some other things, and He probably had some people that watch over him and things, but he was like committed to the microphone. You could tell when he's speaking that he means business, you know. But it's a form of inclusion within society and things. I think it's an important album. Some of his stuff is very important. Now back to Sun Kil Moon, I think they're actually good too, but they're actually on a very, you know, intellectual level. Their level is way up there, you know. I mean, they're my personal opinion about Sun Kil Moon, I'll be honest about them, I think they're on the same level as like Led Zeppelin and Metallica and things like that. I think they're that good. Now they're not speed metal, but he does do metal. There is some stuff on Jesu, whenever he hooked up with Jesu and Sun Kil Moon, they are pretty serious, you know. And some of the stuff is actually unbelievable, especially on the first album, Ghost of the Great Highway, which is a 2003 album, and Admiral Fell Promises, and Tiny Cities is pretty emotional too. It can bring you to tears. It really can. It's very emotional stuff. Now back to Wesley Willis, it probably won't bring you maybe to tears, but it'll definitely get your attention, you know, because he's purely unique. I believe the album is called Spooky Dish Harmonic from the Wesley Willis. Spooky Dish Harmonic. Another thing about Wesley Willis too was he never held back on his language. So, you know, if he wanted to say mofo or whatever it is, you know, he never held back. Now this goes all the way, now I'm not going to, you know, compare it with like NWA or anything like that, but he did really speak his mind, you know. These lyrics were coming from someplace honest, you know. I feel the same with Sun Kil Moon too. I think they're an honest, you know, it's honest lyrics, you could say. But I think they're coming from probably something he's either making up at that moment or something that hits him, some kind of thing, some kind of vampire bird or vampire bat or whatever it may be, or get on the bus, you know, we're gonna ride the bus kind of thing. But to be honest, and I'm not gonna lie about this, on Spooky Dish Harmonic, the music is actually pretty good. There's kind of I wouldn't say Metallica, but there's like a speed metal, well, I wouldn't say speed metal, but I would definitely say hard rock kind of sound that's in there. You know, it's not just him and the synthesizer, like other band members had come in and joined him. Now, of course, Vampire Bat made him famous, so he was already a famous musician. People knew who he was, like worldwide. But he was, you know, these other musicians were riding on his, you know, on his tail surf, you know, or whatever you want to call it. They're riding on his waves, just like they did with Daniel Johnston too. There was other musicians that wanted to be heard, other actors that wanted to be heard, and they rode on his tailcoat feathers or whatever you call it. You know, they rode it. They body surfed in his wave, you know, inside his wave, or whatever I'm trying to say. All right, 715 1.3.